So the first character now is neen, which has a phonetic and a significant. So the phonetic we've learned before, ni, meaning you, and then the bottom part is heart, sin. Originally it depicted the ventricles of the heart, or the compartments of the heart. Then it was reduced to this, written flat to fit into the character. So let's go through the stroke order. Pie, shu, pie, hung go, shu go, dien, 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 xie go, dien, dien. Neen. The next character, gui, means honorable or expensive. The guess is on this one that it originally depicted something like this, two hands burying something. We'll just do this, a something in the earth. Here's the earth. The bottom part is, in traditional characters, is written like this, bei, which means cowrie shell, and anciently was just a depiction of a cowrie shell, like that. So in modern characters, simplified form, shu, we'll make this larger, hung, ja, hung, shu, hung. So those are the two hands bearing something. The bottom part is the bei, the cowrie shell, which was used as money, pie, na, gui. The next character, surname, is a radical that we've already seen, component for woman, and a phonetic, sheng, which means life, but here it's just used as a phonetic. So as we write it out, remember you want to do the pie, ja first, and then the pie and a hung, kind of lopsided so it'll fit. Dien, hung, hung, shu, hung, in that order. The next character is qing, please or request. The left hand side is a component, yen, which means to speak. This is a simplified version of this character, which means to say, to speak, or words. You've got a mouth at the bottom. Anciently, it looked something like this, which is a depiction of the tongue coming out of the mouth. So actually, speech. The right-hand side is composed of this, which resembles sheng and is related to it. And then the bottom component is a depiction of moon. And originally, this component was basically the same idea as life. This means green on itself, pronounced qing. So it is the phonetic in qing. We'll write it out in simplified form. Dien, hung, ja, go, hung, hung, shu, hung, pie, hung, ja, go, hung, hung, qing. Next stroke, next character, one, to ask. This has two components. The middle component is mouth. We've talked about the other component, man, means door. So this is the simplified form. Traditional form for door or gate looks like this. It's actually a depiction of two swinging doors that would swing back and forth to close. So even the very large gates in China that you see are made like this, with the hinges on the side buried in the socket. So that's actually a depiction of a door, and what you have is someone asking a question with their mouth at the doorway. So here's the character. The left-hand side like that, the right-hand side like that, and then you draw the mouth or write the mouth. So in stroke order, dien, shu, hung, ja, go, shu, hung zhe, hung one, to ask. The next character is the most commonly used character in Chinese, da. It is composed of two components also. The left-hand side is written like this. It is pronounced bai, meaning white. It is a depiction of the sun with a mark on it to show that you're not talking about the sun, but the color of the sun. The right-hand side is a spoon, and phonetically it was phonetic. You have to use your imagination for that as a spoon. So as we write it together, dian, shu, hung, zhe, dian, hung, so you fill the box before you close it. Pie, hung, zhe, go, dian, and then we have da. The next character is a phonetic character used for England and English. It's also composed of two components. The top component means grass. So anciently it was written something like this. Grass on its own is called cao. This character is hardly written ever at all. And it is shortened into this as a component. When you see this character, this component on a character, that means that at some point it had something to do with plants. The bottom part is phonetic, usually pronounced yang in modern Chinese, meaning central, and you can sort of see an indication of centrality. So to write the character, you first do the hung, shu, shu, hung, hung, zhe, hung. So you do that all together first, and then you do the pie. You want it to go through the top, dian. Let me do that one more time. Hung, shu, shu, hung, hung, zhe, hung, pie, dian, or na. Ing. The next character is a very interesting character. One, it means, originally it was a depiction of a tattoo on a chest. So the ancient form looked something like this, a person with a mark on the chest. So by extension it meant pattern or a mark or marks that indicate what's within. It has to do with anything to do with written language, civilization, culture, and patterns. It's a very prominent character. It's written with the dian on top. We can make that big enough, and then a hung, pie, na. The next character, Ming, is composed of this component on the top, which means evening. I kind of think of the sunlight slanting in. I don't know why it's written like that. And then on the bottom, you have a mouth. So what do people say at night when they can't see anything? They can't see anything. They say someone's name. So we start with the pie, hung, zhe, dian, and then the mouth. Shu, hung, zhe, hung, ming. Now the next character means a character, like a Chinese character, a single syllable word. It's used in the word mingzi because a ming was one name and a zi was another name, but in modern Chinese they just combine them. And it depicts a roof. So a roof is sometimes depicted with a dot on top, sometimes not, and this time it does. There's a roof, and then there's a child under the roof studying his characters. That probably is, they think that's really where it comes from. So here's the dot, shu, hung, zhe, shu, wan, go, hung, zi. Zhong. is the next character, meaning central, or it can even mean to strike. Originally, it probably was a depiction of banners, something like that. But it has been understood for a long time as meaning a arrow striking a target. But as they did further research, they found that wasn't right. But you sometimes run into old depictions that way. You just have a mouth, basically an item, shu, hung, ja, hung, and then something going right through it. Shu, zhong, for China, for center. The next character, to call someone by name, is composed of two components, the mouth again, and then this component, jiu, which means to call. So that works pretty well, but this character is never used on its own, so we always put the mouth radical jiao to call someone. Mouth, shu, hung, ja, hung, and then shu, ja, shu, jiao, to call someone by name. Okay, the next character is the first component of the word shema. It can mean other things on its own, but it is not all that common. So we'll just use it as shema. This is the renzapang, the ren character as a radical. And then the other character composing it is shi, meaning 10. Shi means 10. So we'll just write this out. Pie, shu, hung, shu. The bottom part wants to be longer than the top on this one. Shen. And then the next component of shema actually depicts something very small like a cocoon. So in traditional characters, you still run into this component. This, by the way, is a traditional character. Derives or related to this one, which is also used in the character for silk, which originally was written something like this, very roughly, which is a depiction of a skein of silk threads. So very small beginnings was the cocoon. So ma by itself means something small, but when people say shema, they never think of that. It's just something to help you remember. So you've got the pie, and then the pieja, and the dian. Ma. Then we have ta, which is the radical for woman by the phonetic yeah, or also. Ta. So this is she, her. Ta. The next character, she, is composed of the speech radical again. Speech, which is yen, a short form of this in traditional characters. It is not simplified. The right-hand side, jui, means a long-tailed bird. There are two kinds of birds that are common, the long-tailed and the short-tailed, in the characters. So maybe you can imagine how that's a bird, but that's what it is. Jui, and it's used in this case as a phonetic. Notice that it has the renzapang in it, but it's just considered part of the component. And then a dian, and in this case you have 4 hung, not 3. Jui. So as a character, we write the dian, hung, shu, go, then the renzapang, pie, shu, dian, hung, 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 shu, hung, she. Tong is the next character, and it is its own component. It probably is a depiction of an ancient food pot, which would have a conical cover like that, made of clay, and then the bottom would look like this. So it's not too far of a stretch to imagine that a character imitating that shape. And there are a number of characters that are derived from that. Tong. You can also think of this as the outside of the vessel with a cover on it, and there's the opening. So mouth can also mean opening. You've got a covered opening, so tong means to bring together the lid and the pot. So go over that again. Shu, hung, ja, go, hung, shu, hung, ja, hung, tong. End of lesson 2.